Beautiful. Okay. Well, welcome everyone to the Break Free from Sugar webinar or workshop or whatever you would like to call it. Now, what I'll be doing is I'll be going through and be showing you lots of slides. A lot of it is education. It would be a great idea. This is just an idea. If you could perhaps get a notebook, glass of water, and anything that I say that you have an aha moment or you would like to remember, yeah, just please write that down. And then at the end, what I'll do is I'll open it up for questions, and you are so welcome to ask me any question at all. Alrighty, so let's begin. What if you could spot hidden sugars in everyday foods and finally understand how they are quietly sabotaging your health and waistline? What if you knew exactly what too much sugar does to your body and brain, from weight gain and inflammation to mood swings and brain fog? And what if you uncovered the truth about artificial sweeteners and learned why they might be just as harmful as sugar itself? And I know there's lots of what ifs, but what if you discovered whether healthy sugars like agave or coconut sugar are genuinely better for you or just clever marketing? And what if you had simple, practical strategies to kick sugar without feeling deprived so you could lose weight naturally and feel better every single day? And what if you finally addressed the real underlying causes of sugar cravings and had expert guidance to help you break free for good? And what if you had a secret weapon to get you started? Because that's what I'm going to be introducing today on this webinar. So, about me, just a little bit, is that I guess what gives me credibility here, and I guess I've been a naturopath for 22 years. I have a bachelor's degree in health science. I'm a clinical nutritionist, herbalist. I have a postgraduate in counseling and psychotherapy. And my whole intention, especially in this container here, is I work with anyone who wants to improve their health, gain more energy, and feel great. So who doesn't want to feel great? So what is sugar? So we're going to start from the beginning. What is sugar? Sugar is the general name for sweet tasting carbohydrates and is found in all types of foods. And there's different types. There's fructose in fruit, lactose in milk, maltose in grains. All carbs and sugars break down to glucose in our body, which our cells use to make energy. And so this workshop isn't just about a no carb or worrying about the sugars in whole foods like pumpkin. We are focusing on the quality of the sugar we are eating, and limiting refined sugar and hidden sugars, as reducing these is the first step to kicking the sugar habit. So refined sugar, when you think of sugar, you probably picture the white crystals of table sugar, which is there on the right, refined from sugarcane or beets. Now, in processing, all nutrients are stripped away, and it's leaving a powder, often genetically modified or coated in harmful chemicals. And this is the sugar we're eating far too much of. And it's what the majority of the population are addicted to. And so today, sugar dominates our food supply. And I don't know whether you're aware of it, but they have put it in our food over the last, I would say, 3 to 4 decades. It's in pizza, it's in Weet Bix, would you believe? It's in Coca-Cola, it's in Pepsi, cornflakes, McDonald's. McDonald's is really confectionery because there's so much sugar in it, cake, even bread, and all of your sauces that you put on your food. And many people are not really aware of how much sugar that they're intaking. And so sugar is in disguise. So I don't know whether you do this, but if you go and have a look at the ingredients on every bottle, every container, every packet, and if you see any of these in there, this is sugar in disguise. And we have been deceived over a period of time when we think this is really good for us, but in fact, it's detrimental to our health. And I'll be going through that in a moment. So high fructose, which is corn syrup, is found in soft drinks, processed foods, soft drinks, condiments, baked goods, fast food, breakfast cereals, canned foods, yogurts, and countless varieties of sweets. And the byproduct of corn manufacturing is it's sweeter and it's cheaper than glucose. So I don't know whether you've even had like Dunkin' Donuts. I know I shouldn't really be using the word, but it's when you eat it, it is really, really sweet. That's the corn syrup. And I've shown a little picture of the liver there because when it's processed through the liver, everything goes through the liver, everything. And it's leading to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and an increase in triglycerides and cholesterol. And what it also does, it increases intestinal permeability. So what happens there, which leads to inflammation, allergies, and irritable bowel syndrome, autoimmune, it literally puts holes in your intestine all the way through. It puts holes. So then it's really quite complex what our body does to this, with the sugar. And so it drives obesity like nothing else. So what we want to do is we want to avoid it like the plague. And I'm going to be doing that on this workshop. So low sugar humans. So our genes, what we're made up of, evolved in a low sugar world. And back even 50 years ago, would you believe, we ate complex carbohydrates, fats, and protein. And we used to have 20 teaspoons a year. And now we're having 17 teaspoons a day. So each little cube there that you see on the screen, that's a teaspoon. So if you can imagine, we're having 17 of those every single day. And so insulin, our fat storage hormone, was designed to store away extra glucose as fat in times of plenty for when food was scarce. And so back to the future, now we have 24/7 supermarkets with sugar-laden shelves, and there is no winter, no famine, no long hikes to find food or calorie-burning mammoth hunts, none of that. And so we are still the same as our ancestors biologically, and we are very well designed to store excess sugar as fat. The problem is that we're leading a sedentary lifestyle. Another problem is that we are chronically stressed. So what do? We overeat. Another problem is that we are getting sleep issues. And of course, we eat too much sugar. And so when we're looking at what the sugar does to our body, it really interferes with our brain function. And so your brain on sugar triggers inflammation. And inflammation is the number one issue in all disease states. If you have inflammation, you have acid and you have pain. And it leads to energy crashes. So we have sugar, we go up and we come back down again. It also increases irritability. We lose our patience. And it also causes brain fog, so memory. And we think it's getting old, that we're aging, and that's why our memory is going. No, it's the high sugar content. And it sparks our mood swings, and it disrupts all our focus. So when we're in stable blood sugar, it reduces inflammation, promotes a balanced mood, maintains steady energy, boosts mental clarity, enhances our memory, and it supports healthy aging. And you might want to know, how come there's a rat on the screen there? Well, in a moment, I'm going to be showing you a very short video. It's like 1.5 minutes on what sugar does to a rat's brain And it's really, really interesting. And I would like you to listen to the guy who's talking about how many seconds a rat without a high sugar diet can find the platform to safety compared to the rat who has been given a high sugar and fat diet. It's really interesting.
Brown University in Rhode Island, they're doing studies they think should make a lot of humans nervous. This rat is perfectly healthy. Put him in a vat of water and he finds his way to safety every time.
5.2.
Now, look at this guy. What he's been eating is the equivalent of a North American diet, complete with all the fats and sugars we regularly consume. He doesn't know where to go. His brain has been damaged.
These rats were totally normal, and then they turned into demented animals. They don't remember their learning after even a day. And as the challenge gets harder and harder, they fail more and more, just like a human with Alzheimer's disease.
36.2.
So isn't that incredible? And we think that it's our brains aging, but sugar, too much sugar to the brain, is dementia 3. And guess what? Our dementias since the 1990s have increased. So what we're wanting to do is have high cholesterol, because we need cholesterol for the brain, and we need low sugar, low insulin, and that's longevity. Because sugar depletes your body of precious nutrients. So when you're taking sugar in, your body needs the nutrients to move the sugar through your body. So as much as we're taking all these supplements, if you're having a high carbohydrate diet, which is including rice and pasta and breads, and we think they're good, but in fact, they're not quite as good as what we think they are, because it turns into a lot of sugar. So sugar strips your body to break down the sugar. So sugar impacts on our body is huge. If you have a Mars bar, this is very interesting. If you have a Mars bar, it decreases your immune system up to 5 hours, would you believe? Just by having a Mars bar, 50%, your immune system crashes, and it just weakens your immune system. And it also leads to more chronic infections. And cardiovascular disease, sugar contributes to inflammation and damages blood vessel walls. So we think that having a stroke or a heart attack is purely because of high cholesterol. No, it's inflammation from the sugars that we're consuming on a daily basis. So remember how I said we need high cholesterol and we need low insulin, and that's longevity. So hypoglycemia gets people very, very hangry if they haven't eaten. They become very fatigued, they lack concentration, they have mood swings, they can shake, they sweat, and that's really very much a sign of blood sugar imbalance. Now, is it genetic? No, none of this is genetic. It is environmental. And so you're looking at diabetes type 2, where the receptors no longer respond to the insulin produced in the pancreas, and the cells are less able to get energy from the food we eat. So what happens is when we have a lot of sugar coming into our body, our insulin's released, and the insulin's job is to place the sugar somewhere in the body. So either it's going to be used up as energy, if you go for a walk, as an example, or it's going to be placed as visceral fat, and visceral fat is like a sticky yellow gluggy stuff which is around your organs. So it's the visceral fat which is the problem. And what happens, your body becomes so exhausted, the more sugar, the more insulin, and after a while the pancreas says, hey, I'm out, I've had enough, and it closes its doors. Pancreas does not produce any more insulin anymore, and then we get diabetes type 2. Now, in Australia, over 300 people a day are diagnosed with diabetes type 2. 300 a day. It's pretty epidemic, right? So this is why sugar, to understand how sugar goes within the body, hopefully you won't go for that Mars bar tomorrow at the supermarket. So it also messes with depression. So sugar messes with serotonin levels. So if you keep having all the sugar, even carbohydrate, which is your breads, a lot of your wheat products and your rice and all of that, it can really mess with how you're feeling. And serotonin is a good feeling hormone like dopamine. And of course, we already know that it causes weight gain. So remember those cavemen and insulin, sugar triggers the release of insulin, and it's this vicious cycle. And so we also know that cancer loves sugar. This is one of the reasons why I go for a carnivore diet with cancer. Why? Because I'm wiping out every single carbohydrate within the body, including vegetables, including fruit, including man-made sugar, everything. So we get the body into ketosis, so the cancer has nothing to feed on. And so with the increased risk of cancer, it is doubling. Like bowel cancer back around 30 years ago was about number 37 in the world. Now it's number 2, the bowel. And I wonder why. Dietary, lifestyle, that sort of thing. And high blood sugar level is very much linked to breast cancer for women. So the question is, are you addicted to sugar? And if you are, that's good, because you're aware of it and now we can do something about it. And it's a really good idea to understand what it does within the body. So you have imagery. So the next time when you want to grab for something that's sugary, you're going to say, no, that's not good for my body. No, I don't want to eat that, because sugar is more addictive than cocaine. Very, very addictive. But when we eat foods that contain a lot of sugar, a massive amount of dopamine is released in the brain's reward center. But here's the problem. It's a domino effect. So dopamine is our pleasure neurotransmitter found in the gut. 90% of our good feeling hormones are found in the gut. It causes a powerful feeling of pleasure and relaxation. Keep eating sugar, our brain then down-regulates dopamine receptors. So we need more sugar to feel good, like never before. Yeah, it's a domino effect. And you get this blood sugar roller coaster, and this is what a lot of people are living on. And the thing is, right, is that we think a bowl of fruit is great in the middle of the day. No, it's not, because it's going to spike your sugar. You need to be having protein first and then sugar. It's like have your main course first and then dessert afterwards, because you're going to have less of a spike. So it's very interesting once you know what this sugar does to your body. And if you eat sugar, like even a bowl of pasta the night before, the next day you're going to be hungry. Why? Because your body is living on the glucose and is craving more. So it's best to have protein the night before for dinner. So sugar is really stressful for the body. So the blood sugar roller coaster causes enormous biological and chemical stress within the body and the brain. And it's like you're running away from a tiger all the time. It's like when you're having sugar, your body goes into this fight and flight response. And the constant stress ages the brain and the body. And you wonder why there are certain people that look really young for their age and other people that look very, very aged. And sugar will age you. And guess what's in alcohol? Sugar. Yeah, alcohol is like the #1 poison for the brain. It will age you like you have no idea. And it contributes to all disease, as you know now. So the one thing that will have the biggest impact on your health is to get off the roller coaster and have a balanced blood sugar. So when you do kick sugar, it's absolutely incredible what happens to your body. You start losing weight, fat on your body, the visceral fat, subcutaneous fat. Start having more energy. Why? Because you're swapping from the glucose for energy to your fat on your body and using the protein. And then you start sleeping better. Try having protein before you go to bed. You'll start sleeping a lot better. And there's less stress on your body. You have healthier digestion because the sugar's not destroying all the good bacteria in your gut. You have happy hormones. Why? Because you're having more amino acids, which is protein. You're not then craving. And you have a strong immune system. You're balanced. Your moods are going to be a lot more balanced. There's no more yo-yo dieting. Your skin starts glowing and it reduces your chronic disease long term. And so a lot of people say, okay, well, if I can't have that sort of sugar, what can I have? Because I'm still a sweet tooth. Well, there's things out there, but it's detrimental. Aspartame is not good. It's found in Splendor Equal. A lot of cafes have it. I wouldn't touch it at all. It's very damaging to the body. And there's lots of research on it, and I won't go in it, but it's in 2017, the artificial sweeteners still increase your blood sugar, contributes to obesity, increases your risk for diabetes too. It's really, plus it's a carcinogenic, causes cancer, we know that. So all of these artificial sweeteners, you really don't want to touch, you really don't. However, you can have healthy sugars, which is honey, molasses, maple syrup, agave, all of these things you can have. However, it is still sugar and you will still get that insulin spike. Yeah, that insulin response. So healthy sugar, sure. Probably one of the ones that I would use myself or in products is stevia. And it's plant-based and it doesn't appear to impact on insulin levels. So here's some great ideas. I've got 8 tips. In fact, I've got heaps of tips, but I needed to try and condense this little webinar. But you might want to write some of these down and implement maybe 1 or 2 as you go. So how do we do it? So number 1 is maybe drink some water before you eat. This is good. And you can add a little bit of lemon in it. Many times people feel like they're hungry, but they're not really, they're just thirsty. So have some water before, right? And of course, if you have too much caffeine, it mimics a blood sugar crash because you have your coffee, it stimulates your adrenals, it's like a whip on your liver, you get up and then all of a sudden you crash down. And it's exactly the same as alcohol. So tip 2 is you can have sweet plants, right? Because we have sweet taste buds in our mouths. So things like pumpkin, sweet potato, carrots, beetroot, berries, apples, cinnamon, coriander, nutmeg, cloves, cardamom, all of these things will sweeten your food. Sleep is really, really vital because if you're not getting your sleep, guess what? You can't rejuvenate and renew and revitalize your cells. You can't. It's impossible because at night is when you're detoxifying and renewing everything within your body. And this is why it's really, really important to have enough sleep for yourself. Everyone is really different. Some people are okay on 4 hours sleep, sometimes 6 hours, sometimes 8. Work out the hours that you need. And 4 is protein. And I've mentioned this before. Many, many women that I see in clinical practice and not even having the gram dosage of enough protein. And hence, I believe this is one of the major problems for perimenopause, menopause, issues within the body. Because if you're not getting enough amino acids, then what happens is your hormones can't go throughout the body because you need a certain amount of cholesterol for the hormones to latch on and carry through the body. And so eating protein with every single meal and snack is going to help you like you have no idea. And it's things like eggs, avocado, sausages, steak, chicken for breakfast even, an omelette for breakfast. Protein slows the absorption of glucose so we don't get that big spike up the roller coaster, and it makes you feel satisfied for longer. Why? Because you're having the protein and enough healthy fat. So healthy fats are butter, and tallow and ghee. So we need to be having that in our diets. And what happens is when you're having foods like this, you're going to not snack. If you have a carbohydrate meal, an hour later, you need more food. An hour later, you need more food. It is not satisfying enough. And a good protein, excuse me, rich breakfast does wonders to curb, I've spelt that wrong, those 3 p.m. sugar cravings. So we want to remove any sugar cravings completely. Whether you have them at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, after meals, they all need to go. And tip number 5, and I've sort of discussed this, eat full fat. So the full fat is what they took out of our diet through manufacturing. And guess what they replaced it with? Sugar. So if you think you have a sugar problem because it's you could be the common denominator. Not really. It's the way that we have been marketed to. And so tip number 6 is move more. We need to move. And I don't believe that everyone should go to the gym. I don't believe everyone should go for a walk. I don't. But it would be great for you to find something that you enjoy, whether that be yoga, fishing, I don't know, whatever it is for you. There needs to be some sort of movement, because when you move, it releases stress, burns up glucose, lowers your insulin, and you feel really, really good, right? Because it produces the good feeling or endorphins. So, and when you don't get enough, the body starts to look for other ways to blow off steam, like binging off sugar. So tip number 7 is new rituals. So maybe you're the type of person that has dessert after every single meal. Maybe you've been doing that for the past 20, 30 years, and it's like a ritual that you have this and then you have that. Well, maybe there's other possibilities that you could maybe post-meal rituals. You could change that. Instead of having the dessert or something sweet at 9 p.m. or whatever it is, change the ritual. Just do something else and bring that into your life. And now it comes to my top secret tip number 8, which is something that's going to help you a lot, right? That I'm going to talk to you very, very shortly about. And this is going to help you. So how do you conquer all the cravings? So for a start, we need to be really consciously aware of what we're eating. Because if we're not conscious of what we're doing, we're going to just keep going in the same track. So binge eating and emotional eating happens on autopilot. Because remember, 90% of your habits are autopilot based. So what we need to do is become really consciously aware. Eating mindfully is really just one way to become more conscious to be able to change the behavior. If you're not conscious of why you're eating and how you're feeling when you're eating and the foods that you're choosing, it's going to be very hard for you to change anything. We need to be aware. If we can become more conscious of what we're doing daily, that's the way to go. So cravings, ask yourself, what's your biggest craving when it comes to sugar? What are you doing? What time of day are you craving? How do you try to curb the cravings? What do you do? And how do you feel if you give in and eat the sugar? So again, it's like you being consciously aware of what you're doing on a daily basis. How are you feeling around the craving? Because I know that willpower won't work. It just won't all the time. Because really, willpower is a finite resource we only have so much of. So what happens is we're exhausted. A lot of the time, we're exhausted about, even when we wake up in the morning, we're tired. We're waiting patiently in line on the phone. We finish our tasks. We're working really hard. And of course, by the time the end of the day rolls around, or even it could be midday, what we do is we don't have enough willpower, and then we just crave all the sugars. And this is what happens. So another thing is deprivation won't work. That's why I never give anyone a diet, so to speak. I'm personally, when I work with people, I'm looking at lifestyle. What can you implement on a daily basis for the rest of your life? No doubt all these diets work. They do. But the problem is they become super strict and you feel really deprived, and then it doesn't really work. So what happens when you say you are never going to eat sugar again? What happens is you can maybe sustain that for about a week, and then you start craving it even more because it's like it's been taken away from you. So especially if you are addicted or you're an emotional eater, because you remember we talked about dopamine. So it's your brain you're trying to fight against, and you cannot win when you feel deprived. And this is why it's a great idea to work with someone like myself to set a plan, and it's like a step by step, and you gradually start making all these healthy choices on autopilot. So you don't even think about it. You don't even think about craving that chocolate bar anymore. And yeah, this is what happens. So again, tough love won't work. Some people punish themselves for being weak and giving into cravings. And I've spoken to a lot of women that do this. As I've been in clinical practice for 20 years, I've probably dealt with a couple of thousand women in my time. And many, when they're on this diet roller coaster journey, they will crave all these sugars, overeat, and then what they do is they spend more time at the gym, and they have damaging self-talk. They feel ashamed and they feel really guilty that they've done that. And then they skip meals, and then they binge a little bit more, because this whole approach doesn't work. So what does work? Well, cravings are messengers. Cravings are the body trying to communicate a need or a desire. And when you're not happy with any area of your life, it's sometimes so much easier to reach for sugar than deal with what's really going on. And then that's the fact. And so anytime you feel you're reaching for the food to self-medicate, it might be a little time to step back and just listen and start asking yourself questions. What am I really doing? Is this going to be really good for my body to eat this? Because I have all the proof that it's not. Is it going to make me feel good long term? And what am I really hungry for? And it's these hard questions, and they are hard because you need to confront that before you can move forward. And so what do you really, really crave? Because underneath that craving, I can guarantee you it's an emotion that you're trying to avoid. And it's your body seeking to balance itself. And the more you ignore it, the stronger your craving will become. And are you low in dopamine? Does your life lack joy and pleasure, so you seek it through eating? And are you taking time out for yourself? And are you being really, really self-critical and hard on yourself? So these are really all the questions that I always ask people. And this is why I offer the Balance and Trim program. I have done a program, and I wrote it a couple of years ago. And I have many, many people on this program. And what I do is I explain to people, they start breaking free from this diet confusion, because I'm not into diets. I'm more into what is it that you desire, and then I help you get there. And it's a matter of rewiring your mindset, recoding it for lasting change. We need to get things which are on autopilot. We need to also reset hormones so we feel good, and also boost energy. We need to lose the weight without the struggle. Like, organically, weight comes off your body once you understand why we're eating and what our bodies are craving for, and we start consciously listening to what it needs. And I give you tools that keep you on track. And the whole premise of it is I build a foundation for lifelong health. And so if you want to do this, I have more to share with you, but I just wanted to put this in. You go to my website, which is janebryson.com. You click on the Whole Woman Reset. And if you scroll down, you'll have a look at the Balance and Trim program. And I think it's like $97 US. It's not that expensive. And in it, I will show you how to rewire your mind. And I'll also show you how to stop sabotaging yourself. And also there's lots of other information in there too. So you're welcome to go and do that. But at the moment, I'm still going on this workshop. But I just wanted to put that in. So, because we have to work with everything, you know, it's not just the diet and yeah, there's many moving parts to it. So there's other reasons, right? We also need to check underlying reasons why you crave sugar. So there is insulin resistance and diabetes. There's hormonal imbalances, sex hormones, cortisol, thyroid. There's anxiety, there's mental health, there's gut infections. You've probably heard of SIBO. There's parasitic infections, there's poor nutrition, nutrient deficiencies. There's all of those as well that we also need to deal with in regards to craving sugar. Parasites love sugar. So you may have everything else under control, but there could be other things happening within your body. So the top secret tip number 8, and we're going to be coming to the end of this in just a moment, is that many people, when they're looking at moving away from the sugar and losing fat on their body, they also go for quick fixes, which is a long-term disaster. So many do turn to weight loss drugs for quick fixes. But the problem is there's heaps of side effects to that, and they're pretty brutal. People get nausea, muscle loss, long-term risks, and the real change comes from balancing your body and mindset, but not with a pill. So I want to introduce you to Emulin 5, which is brand new on the market. And the Emulin 5 has been created by Dr. Joseph Ahrens. He is a dual-nominated Nobel Prize scientist. And he came out with Emulin M and Emulin C about 2 years ago, and it netted like 100 million. And it was extremely successful with people that had issues with sugar. So it's TGA Australia approved. And what it does, it's an antioxidant. So it reduces free radicals formed in the body during the day in adults. It enhances and promotes general health and well-being. It is an anti-inflammatory and relieves inflammation, and also helps in the maintenance of a healthy body weight, as well as aids, assists, and helps in the management of carbohydrate cravings. So it's the carbohydrate cravings, which is an issue as well within itself. And because it assists with glucose and sugar, then it's going to tap into the insulin response. So we've had people that have had diabetes 1 and diabetes 2, and usually if they have a piece of cake or a beer or wine, their sugar goes up. They've got to check their insulin, and it's an issue. So we've had people already taken Emulin 5 when they've had the cake, and it hasn't had that big spike. So I don't condone that. I think that people should be off sugar anyway, but that was just, you know, what people are telling us. And so what we want to do is, while you're working on your mindset, while you're working with your diet, all of that, wouldn't it be absolutely handy to have something that's going to support you in the process of that? It has flavonoids, it's got vitamin C, it's also got probiotics, which is great for the gut. And it does many different things. But I have personally had a look at every single ingredient, because that's what I do. And it helps with dizziness, headache, hypertension, intestinal hemorrhage, and hemorrhoids. It also, which is very interesting, because remember how we talked about the rats? You saw that rat video. Yeah, what sugar does. Well, this Emulin 5, it has promising pharmacological activities towards the treatment of Huntington's, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's disease. So I was pretty super duper excited when I did research on that. So we're looking at bayberry, which is antioxidant, anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, anti-diabetic, neuroprotective, anti-aging, anti-obesity. This is going to help with cardiovascular and cerebrovascular diseases. So as well as that, we have another flavonoid which helps improve glucose absorption, insulin sensitivity, overall metabolic health. So what happens is when people are carrying more weight, it messes with your metabolism and it slows everything down. And so what we're looking at is when you're taking the Amulin 5, this is going to improve that whole chemical process within your body. So with chlorogenic acid, which is in here, it regulates glucose lipid metabolism, improves insulin resistance, and reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease, which is pretty amazing. So breaking free from sugar, we've got 3 essential things that we can do, and I can personally help you with. So I'm putting a pink bow on it. So there's 3 essential things. So first is the mindset shift. So what we need to do is need to rewire the cravings and the old habits. We need to have a look at the eating pattern. So what is really fueling your body and not using it as a sugar fix? We also need to smart support with particular supplements to balance and repair, and that's where Amulin 5 comes in. And when these 3 work together, you break free, you gain energy, and you feel like you again. So these are my 3 essential things that I offer you. And I also believe that consistency wins. And never, ever give up on yourself. Whether you have tried getting off sugar before, you've tried different supplements before, you've tried mindset techniques before, I believe that if you're really consistent with what you do, you're going to be getting amazing results. So if you need extra support, because I'm wrapping this up now, ready for question time, if you need extra support, you can go to my website, and under free resources, I have a free keto guide, I have a free carnivore diet guide, and I also have a 21-day health and mindset guide. And these 3 will help you a lot. And if you want to go one step further and start rewiring, in the Balance and Trim program, I have a 12-minute meditation that you can listen to. I have connected it, an audio, with a high frequency vibration with subliminal recoding under the music. And I've had hundreds of women that have just listened to the meditation for 12 minutes every day and have had amazing results. So there is not one thing that is going to solve all of the issues, not just one thing. It's sort of like a community that's going to help you. There are many moving parts. But as I said before, I also believe consistency wins. Never give up on yourself, never. So my offer is free, no stress call as well. So if you're in Australia, which I think you all are, you're welcome to text me. And I always offer a 20-minute call that you can connect with me, and we can see how we can work together, or maybe I can answer some of your questions. Maybe there hasn't been something clear that I've expressed. But basically, that concludes the little workshop here. And I've done it under an hour, which is amazing. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to open it all up for anyone who would like to ask any questions from me. And I'm very open to answering any questions at all that you have. Or maybe it has been so easy to understand.